Good evening and welcome to the writing webinar number 6. So in this webinar we're going to work on this question on the screen. Have a look at the question there. It's a line graph and a pie chart. The line graph is basically talking about electricity consumption during the time of the day, and the pie chart is talking about the proportions of electricity consumption. So they're both basically showing different ways that electricity is used or demand for electricity, as the question shows, in British homes. Alright, so I'm going to read the question here for you. It says the graph below shows the demand for electricity in England, English homes, not British homes, in England during typical days in winter and summer. The pie chart shows how electricity is used in an average English home. And this is usually typical. Summarize the information by selecting and reporting the main features and make comparisons where relevant. First of all, as you know, we are going to start with our introduction here. Alright, so with the introduction, I am going to basically paste the paragraphs here one by one, because that would make everything a little bit faster. I've already prepared something for you here. So the first paragraph, see, it says the present line graph and accompanying pie chart depict electricity consumption in England. The line graph documents demand throughout 24 hours in both summer and winter. That's capital S and capital W. While the pie chart portrays consumption proportions by type of use and device. First of all, this first line talks about what we have. So it says we have a line graph and then we have a pie chart. And then the second sentence says what the line graph shows exactly. And you have to keep this short. Don't really report any data in the introduction. You just talk about what you see, and that's basically it. There's nothing much to it. And this introduction right now is 39 words. For the overview, before I show you the overview, you'll see here that there are a few key features. Would you like to spend some time thinking about what the key features are, and then I show you what I thought the key features were?
Okay, so the power consumption during the winter period is always higher than during the summer.
Yes, that's good. That's one, yeah.
With fluctuations.
Yeah, so and fluctuations, we have to be a little bit more specific than that. But yes, winter is, well, generally higher, and it never falls below 30,000. But that's not important. It's not a key feature. But as you can see. And then summer is between 10 and 20,000. And it's just in that channel. It doesn't move from there. Okay, so one key feature is winter consumption is significantly higher than summer consumption, without any exception. Okay, what else?
And the daily variability is more during the winter, throughout, like 24-hour variability of the demand.
Yeah, you can say that. Yeah, there are bigger fluctuations. The fluctuations are more significant during winter. Yes, that's a good point. I actually didn't think of that. I don't have that in my overview, but we can add it. What else? In the winter, the peak of consumption, as you know, when we're talking about electricity consumption, the peak of consumption becomes important. And here the peak of consumption is closer to midnight. Maybe before we talk about that, we probably have to talk about 0 means midnight, and 24 also means midnight. So this is from midnight to midnight, right? This is one full day. And this is 0 to 6 is in the morning, and then early morning, and then we have after 6, at some point we have sunrise around 6 o'clock, and then it goes until noon. Noon is 12, and then afternoon and evening again until midnight. So peak for winter hours, or for days during the winter, is between 9 p.m. and midnight. Somewhere there between probably 10:30. It's not very clear exactly when, so we call it before midnight, right? Or late evening hours. 21 to 24, 9 p.m. to midnight, that's late evening hours. So let's call that late evening hours. Anything else?
And most of the power is consumed for heating rooms and heating water.
Yes, so for the pie chart, more than half goes towards heating. That's the main key feature for the pie chart. What else for the pie chart?
I want to add that equal amount consumption, but because I can't think of a common two words for these two consumption proportions, it's going to be long sentence actually, which I do it because it's 15 and 15. But
That's
no
15.
common.
I found a way to categorize the list. So
Okay.
if you look at the list here for blue, it says heating rooms, heating water.
Yeah, that I got it.
Okay. Now look at, for yellow, it says ovens, kettles, and washing machines. Okay, so that's home appliances. Okay, or kitchen appliances. And then lighting, TV, and radio. Well, lighting can be anywhere in the house, but TV and radio are usually in the living room. So we can refer to that as living room appliances and fixtures for the red. And then for the green, it's vacuum cleaners, food mixers, electric tools. We can call that electric devices and home appliances. But
Can you say accessories?
no, accessories
No.
is like jewelry
Right.
and these things that
Yeah,
you
yeah.
wear, right?
Okay.
And electric tools can be anything, doesn't necessarily have to be in the kitchen. Electric tools can be a drill, which is usually in the garage. So it's not exactly accurate if you want to give these category names, right? But we just have to try as much as possible. Well, what we can say is that more than 50% goes towards heating, and then the other three categories are fairly equal, because the other one is 17, so we can't say exactly equal, but we can say more or less equal. We can also talk about, when it comes to the line graph, we can talk about lows. For example, in the winter, the low is going to be in the early evening hours, and in the summer, the low is going to be around the same time, a little bit sooner. Okay, but as it stands right now, I have 270 words, so I don't want to go beyond that, okay? So are you ready to see the overall now? Overall, the graph indicates that. So when I say the graph, I'm talking about the line graph here, indicates that English homes, I don't say British homes because it doesn't say Britain, it says England. So English homes naturally require significantly more electricity during the cold winter days, especially in the late evening hours. And we talked about that, especially in the late evening hours, is this part here. In the summer, however, so that's for cohesion, right? We're connecting our sentences together. Consumption remains low and only peaks in the early afternoon. So early afternoon is right here. That's where it peaks. and before midnight. And before midnight is here. So we have kind of 3 peaks. So one peak is here, that's for winter. One peak is here, and one peak is here. This peak is higher, so this is the actual peak of this. And this peak is a little lower, right? Yeah. Let's see what else we talked about. In the summer, however, consumption remains low and only peaks in the early afternoon and before midnight. So early afternoon and before midnight, I talk is here and here. And then more than half of that electricity, as the pie chart shows, so now I've moved to the pie chart. More than half of that electricity, so here I'm talking about this, 50%, as the pie chart shows, is allocated to heating of both rooms and water. Now, since I have too many words here, I'm thinking maybe I can move this or just delete it. It's allocated to heating, and the rest is divided fairly equally. Now, why did I say fairly equally? The reason I said fairly equally is because here this is 15 and this is 15, but this is 17. So I don't want to say exactly equally because that's not really true. So I say fairly equally. Good. Now, this is how I fixed that problem that Sanjay was talking about. Kitchen, home, and living room appliances and fixtures. So here again, I'm trying to reduce wordiness. So instead of mentioning all of these nouns, which is going to be really, really overwhelming and cumbersome, I am going to reduce them to categories the best that I can. Now, if you think about it a little bit more, maybe you can come up with a better way to categorize them, but that was my best attempt at trying to give them categories that are fairly accurate. And here I want to add a little bit more detail and reduce wordiness at the same time. So here I will take away the parallelism, I will say, and fluctuates less with smaller peaks in the early afternoon and before midnight. And here even I'm going to reduce the wordiness a little bit more with smaller early afternoon, late evening peaks. And then I can delete all of this. So that's way less wordy and it packs more details. And then more than half of that electricity, as pie chart shows, here I don't have to say as, we can just do it like this, is allocated to heating and the rest is divided fairly equally among kitchen. Yeah, I don't see a way to reduce the word count on this. Okay, any questions about the overview? Okay, now before I show you the 2 body paragraphs, let's think a little bit about what the body paragraph should look like. So naturally, when you get something like this, what I have seen in most sample essays, in all sample essays actually, the 2 paragraphs go for the line graph and the pie chart separately. So the first paragraph goes towards the line graph, explains everything there, and then the second paragraph explains what's in the pie chart. And while you're doing that, if you can find a way to try to connect these 2 together, that's great, but if you can't, then that's okay. My first body paragraph looks like this. So here, as I mentioned, the first body paragraph is going to talk about the line graph here. Okay, so nothing else, right? And as you can see, I have basically tried to not to mention things that are unnecessary. I've tried to stick with things that are just the main trends and the main ideas. Okay, so let's take a look here. It says, as for daily consumption, the line graph records numbers between 30 and 40,000 units for most of the day in winter, as compared to 10 to 20,000 during the summer. So here I've tried to talk about this, 30 to 40, okay, but you can see that winter days are not between 30 to 40. They are between 30 to 40 until 3 p.m. But then after that, they slowly go above 30 to 40. They go into 50 briefly, closer to 50, and then come down. So for that reason, I have said here for most of the day. Okay, just to make sure that I'm not inaccurate. As compared to 10 to 20,000 during the summer. 10 to 20,000 during the summer doesn't meet that most of the day exception, because as you can see, it is very clear that it doesn't go above 20,000. It hits 20,000, doesn't go above. Okay, and I have kept it like this. Sometimes I have reported like this, 30,000. Sometimes I have reported like this, 19K. And sometimes I have reported like this. So I've tried to be a little bit creative and avoid repetition with the reporting of the numbers. So you can do all of these. You can say 30 and 1,000 can be like this. Or you can even spell out the 30 here, and then you can go like this with a comma. Every 3 zeros will need a comma that separates it. Or you can go with 19K, and K here means 1,000. Okay. Now, let's read it. As for daily consumption, the line graph records numbers between 30 and 40,000 units for most of the day winter, as compared to 10 to 20,000 during the summer. The main difference is that after 3 p.m., consumption slowly grows with a higher rate after 6 p.m., reaching a peak of about 48,000 after 9 p.m., before plummeting back down to about 34,000 by midnight. So I'm talking about here. We say after 6 p.m., it picks up, right? And then, sorry, this is 6 a.m. After 3 p.m., I've mentioned here, where's 3 p.m.? Here. After 3 p.m., I've said that it picks up. This is 3 p.m. right here. And then the rate is increasing. So it's kind of a knee-shaped form here. And then it hits a peak of about 48,000. It's not exactly 50,000. And then it plummets. It plummets all the way down to about 34. It's not exactly 35, it's about 34 by midnight. Okay, and this is midnight, and then we start the day again. It's a typical day. Now, in comparison, summer consumption briefly exceeds 20,000 at around 2 p.m. So this is 12 p.m., this is 3 p.m. So this should be around 2 p.m. right here. So around 2 p.m., we are hitting a peak of 20,000. It slightly goes over, right? If you look at it closely, you will see that it slightly goes over. And fluctuating between 15 and 19 for the rest of the day. So if we say that the midway is 15, you'll see that it doesn't fall below 15. And then for the rest of the day, it goes up and goes down between 15 and 19 mostly. So that's the line graph. Now, let me know if you have any questions.
Kara, in addition to the use of 3 p.m., we can use 1500 hour, right? 1500H.
Yes, but that is more like a military way of talking about numbers, right? People don't.
Okay. Isn't it a standard way?
People don't say that. Like you can only hear the police talking about it, hours and times like that. Now, the second body paragraph only talks about the pie chart, so there is much to talk about in the pie chart. As noted in the pie chart, so here you see one important point is that your topic sentences should identify what the logic is. So here in my topic sentence, I'm talking about the line graph, what the line graph shows, and here for the pie chart, I'm showing it here. So it is very clear what the line graph and the pie chart each show. All right. On the other hand, as noted in the pie chart, on the other hand, so this on the other hand is basically to create a distinction between this and this paragraph. Okay, so that would improve my coherence here. Heating of rooms and of water account for 52.5% of consumption. So I'm reporting this number exactly, 52.5, while 30% is divided equally between lighting, TV, and radio in one category. So lighting, TV, and radio, that's this category. Okay, and it's 15%, as you can see. Okay, and because these three are together, I have to say lighting, TV, and radio in one category, and vacuum cleaners, food mixers, and other tools in another. So that would be the green one. Vacuum cleaners, mixers, and electric tools. Instead of electric tools, I said other tools, just to be a little bit different. And again, that's 15. So both of these are 15. So I said the 30% is divided equally. So that was, I thought that would be a creative way of showing, instead of saying 15 and 15, I could just say divided equally. And then for this one, I have to report it separately. Finally, other appliances. So other appliances is not really an accurate name for this category. So I have to say what appliances those are. So I say namely. I can't say including because I'm actually mentioning all of them. So instead of including, I say namely. Namely is when you include all of the constituents or members of a group, right? Ovens, kettles, and washing machines. So those three, and that's here. Ovens, kettles, and washing machines, and that's 17.5. So I'm gonna report that number exactly. So I reported all of the numbers here in the pie chart, right? Machines take up. Take up is like constitute. Constitute would be a good word. I don't think I used constitute. You can use that. Of total electricity consumption in a typical home in England. So typical is a good synonym for this word that they used here. It said here, look, it said an average English home. So instead of average, I used the word typical there. And that is my entire essay. And right now, this is probably about 260 words. So it's a bit long, but it's comprehensive. It covers everything. We didn't leave anything behind, and I anticipate that this is going to get a very good score.